It's about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm up on top of a mountain in beautiful Kandahar. It's one of the fobs below us, where we're staying right now. This is where we sleep, in bulletproof sea cans underneath an array of sandbags. As you can see, this is where we wash our clothes. Old school. Hang them up to dry. It is even worse than I thought it would be, actually. You know, it's when you're wearing this much kit, just the smallest movements are that much more difficult, right? Walking through sand, and a small hill feels like a big hill.
There you have it, and that is a clip from Sisters in Arms, and the filmmaker Beth Freeman is with us. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And we also have the Women in Film Festival director Roslyn Muir is here as well. Thanks very much for you being here as well.
Thanks.
Let's talk about, we'll talk about the film in just a second. Let's talk about the festival itself. It started yesterday and actually goes until Tuesday.
That's right. Yesterday we had our opening night film and our digital media forum. And all day today and tomorrow we have films. We have short films, feature films, and free panels.
Okay, all dealing with, these are all women filmmakers, is that right?
Yes, they are. We do have some male directors as well, and obviously men have helped with the filmmaking too. But our criteria is that we try to support women directors, producers, writers, all of those women that are in the higher power sector of filmmaking.
And that's where you come in, because you had a film there called Sisters in Arms, and this story was basically your sisters in the military and went to Afghanistan, and you decided to give her and others cameras. And is that kind of the story of the film?
Well, the story is about women who choose combat roles in the Canadian military. So
right.
They've, you know, made it. They want to go. They want to go and fight the war. And my sister is one of those soldiers. And when she was sent to Afghanistan, what I found was that people's reactions were, who wants to do that? What woman wants to do that?
Right.
And so I thought, yeah, that's a good question. And then I went to find that out.
And what were the reasons a lot of these women wanted to be in the military and to go over and serve? I mean, it's a noble cause for sure.
You know, they have different reasons, but what was consistent with them all was that it's what they were very clear about, that this is what they wanted to do. You know, they wanted some of them wanted adventure, other than a lot of patriotism. They felt it was an important role to play in helping Canada, you know, and help another country. So that really was their motivation.
And I guess this is exactly what you're talking about in this kind of a film, and this is picture perfect for the festival.
It is. It's a beautiful film, and it's the great access that Beth got by just sending cameras over there.
Yeah.
I think it was really what makes it.
Because we have obviously media crews over there all the time, but they don't get that sort of look in behind of what the soldier sees and what they're doing. You mentioned the clip there, just, you know, that's where we wash our clothes, you know, just sort of in behind an area, stuff that we never see, but it's obviously part of the day-to-day life there.
Yeah, I mean, the film shows their day-to-day life, but what it really gives you is real close, personal look at their stories, at the decisions they make to go over there, what happens when they're there, and then some of the consequences. And they all have to deal with certain consequences for those decisions, emotional, physical, lots of different things that happen.
Now, you showed this at the UN in New York. Tell us about that experience.
Well, I just came back on Thursday from screening the film at the United Nations. The Canadian mission invited us to come and screen it in front of some international delegates as part of the Commission on the Status of Women. Right. Which is a big meeting that they have at the UN every year. And we had a group of delegates from all over the world who came and watched it, and then we had a Q&A afterwards, and had some really interesting feedback about the situations in other countries, which are very different from what we're doing in Canada. Canada is very progressive in its policy on women in combat, soldiers fighting in combat, as opposed to other countries which really aren't there yet. They don't have the same equality, they don't have the same kind of attitude towards women. So. We're really far ahead, and that's really what came out of those meetings, and they gave everybody some insight into how they might move forward in integrating women and more into their militaries.
Did you find in the film, you mentioned the consequences and things that happen to these women. Tell us just a little bit more about that. We only got about a minute left, though. About you know, we hear all these stories that some men don't want women in combat. Did they find that when they were there as well? Did you see that in the film?
They do find it. They get what they all say is that they get tested by men. The men kind of put them through the ropes, you know, like they test them with humor and they test them, and they're tested physically. At the end of the day, the men they felt quite accepted, but they had to prove themselves differently than how men have to prove themselves. They have to prove themselves the way men have to, and then they have to prove themselves to the men. So, you know, it's a little bit of a different experience, but they all found it very, very rewarding in different ways.
And I find that sort of a parallel to the festival as well, because, you know, we just had a female director win the Academy Award last year, Catherine Bigelow. You know, it's like you're starting to make some inroads, but again, it seems the women have to test themselves before they get that, you know, that we can do exactly what men can do in directing films.
Yeah, we're fighting a war for sure.
It is a tough one. Do you find that as well?
Yes and no. I mean, I think with documentary, you know, you're kind of like, you're kind of out there on your own. And I worked with a very strong crew of women. My cinematographer, sound person, my co-producer we're all women. So it didn't feel like that. But you know, there are other challenges that women face in making films for sure.
Well, I'm sure that's going to be a topic of discussion again, and there's a lot of great films to see as well. There's the details. Go to womeninfilm.ca for more details and check it out. And your film is screening
Tomorrow, Sunday, at 6 p.m.
All right, good stuff. So make sure you check it out. Nice to meet you both. Thanks very much.
Thanks
for having me.
All right, we're going to send it over to Erin Henn.
Hey, that's fantastic. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday morning. I hope yours is off to a good start.